Okay, good chicken and dumplings. I've got two ways to do it. The easy way, or you can do the more time consuming by making your own dough to make the dumplings. My dad lives with me, so he likes them made with the Gran biscuits, okay? The Gran butter tasting biscuits. I use 1 can, and let me pull this closer. And you can see I've got a lot of dumplings on my cutting board here. They're layers and layers of dumplings. I like them rolled thin, but if you like them thick, then make them thicker, and you may have to use 2 cans. But I've rolled it, so I put my flour out on my counter. I have granite countertop, so I do it right here on top, and I roll it out thin. I use a pizza cutter, bam, just like that, real quick, okay? Now it's best to set these over and let them sit for about 30 minutes before you put them in your pot, okay? I left that last one to do with y'all. Now let me show you what's in my pot. I've already taken the chicken out of the pot. Let's see if I can do this. I've already taken my chicken out of the pot, and it's cooling. It's leg quarters. I know that probably looks gross, but I've taken it out so I can debone it. Now my aunt, she always put the whole pieces of chicken in with the bone and all, but I like mine deboned. So let me tell y'all what I got in here. So when I put the chicken on, I put the chicken in here, and I have a Pyrex measuring cup, and it's a two cup measuring. I put 4 of those of water in with my chicken. Then I cut up a good portion of celery in small pieces. I throw that in here. I cut up an onion real small. I throw that in here. So now you've got all this goodness with, you see all these cut pieces of onions and celery. Now if you don't want the onions, leave them out. But that makes this juice flavored really good, okay? Now I put in salt and pepper, and then I put about a half a teaspoon of poultry seasoning. So that is the only seasoning I put in there. When I took my chicken out of the pot, I put a half a stick of salted butter, the real butter. But you can use whatever you got. If you got margarine, just go ahead and put that in there. Okay, so I've got a good pot of juice here, and to drop the dumplings, you're going to bring it to a rolling boil. So you don't want to mess with your dumplings when you put them in here. Don't stir them. You want this to roll, and you're going to drop them, and it's going to take the dumpling, and it's going to keep it moving in the broth, okay? So that is the trick. So you're going to put them all in there, and I'm getting this to a rolling boil, and I'm going to show you. I'm not letting my dumplings sit as long as probably I should. And again, it's Gran's biscuits. Now, if you want to make the dumplings the way I like to do it, but the men out there say, hey, just use this and just do that, you know, so I do it that way, okay? But to make your fresh dumplings, you would use 2 cups of flour and take a half a cup of this broth out. Now you may have to turn your heat down really low so that this isn't moving, to get the juice from the top and not get the onions and stuff. And it's okay if there's some pieces in there. I've rolled mine out that had pieces of the veggies in there. But take a half a cup of that and a half a cup of evaporated milk, and mix it with your half a cup of broth. So in other words, you got 1 cup. Did I tell y'all right? 1 cup of liquid to the 2 cups of flour. So a half a cup of the broth, half a cup of the canned milk to a half a cup of broth, okay? So it makes 1 cup of liquid to the 2 cups of flour. Mix that up. It'll be tacky like dough, and then roll it out pieces at a time on with your flour. And then I do the same thing. I use my pizza cutter and roll them and cut them with that. And then I set them aside and let them sit. Now I've got a rolling boil. So, like I said, I like mine thin. So you can see they're nice and thin, okay? And they're about like that. And then you just drop it in, and that juice is, that moving broth is just going to keep that dumpling moving. I love some good old chicken and dumplings. Now what we're going to do is, my dad is 82 and we like to have him some frozen meals in the freezer. So that if we have pizza, because he doesn't like pizza, he says, I'm not Italian. And I said, well, you're not Mexican either, and you eat Mexican food and you love it. So that made no sense. But anyway, so if we have pizza and he doesn't like chicken, and my husband and I eat a lot of chicken, even though he loves chicken and dumplings. But if we're having something that he doesn't like, then he's got meals in the freezer. And how we like to freeze this, he loves cabbage soup with meat in it, and he makes that a lot. He makes this big pot full. This is a big pot, and we put it in bowls, plastic bowls, and we set it in the freezer and let it freeze. And then when it's frozen, we take it out and we turn it upside down and run water over the bottom of the bowl, and then it drops out. Then we use our seal-a-meal and we seal those, so he's got bowls of soup frozen in the freezer. He'll make his shrimp, shrimp noodle stuff that he likes, and my husband and I are not real crazy about it, but he'll make that, and he'll freeze up a bunch of meals. And so we have 2 freezers, so our freezer in the kitchen is a lot of stuff for him, for my dad, and we keep the Bluebell ice cream there because Dad likes to make shakes, chocolate shakes for my husband, and strawberry for him and myself, even though I'm trying not to do shakes. I'm trying to do Weight Watchers. But anyway, so this is how we do the dumplings. And then when you get them all in here, you're just gonna let this move around for about 5 minutes or so, and then you're gonna turn it off, and you're gonna take your chicken that you've deboned and you're gonna add to the pot, okay? So I'm gonna turn this like this. You'll just let it set for, let it boil for 5 minutes, and then turn it off and let them set after you put the chicken in. Now, I used to add a can of cream of chicken and it made it thicker juice, but if you have leftovers, those dumplings soak up, excuse me, those dumplings soak up a lot of the juice, a lot of the, the broth and stuff. So, so we like it a little more soupy, so I don't add the cream of chicken, but I do add some canned milk in here. So when I get all these in here, I'm gonna just put some canned milk in there, and that gives it the right look. It gives it that more white, creamy look to your chicken and dumplings. Okay, so that's evaporated milk that I add to this. So that is how we do a good pot of chicken and dumplings. The other thing you can do is add, excuse me, you can add a can of peas. You can add carrots if you want, but I don't I don't care for vegetables in mine other than my celery and onions. Celery gives it a really nice broth flavor. And if you do want to put cream of chicken, and you don't have cream of chicken, but you have cream of celery, you could put cream of celery in here instead of cream of chicken, whichever one you want. I mean, I guess you could even do cream of mushroom if you wanted to. So that'll make it really, that thickens your juice, okay? So that is how we do our chicken and dumplings. And you can see this one can of biscuits has made a lot of dumplings. It made a lot. So I'm going to now put these in here a little more at a time instead of, the thing is you want, I got my fire on high, and you just want to make sure that these dumplings stay moving, and that way they won't settle to the bottom and stick to your pan. Once they've boiled for a little bit, they'll be okay when you turn it off to let it rest. And after you add your chicken and you turn it off and let it set, it's really best if you let it set for a good 30 minutes before you serve. And then it's cooled down a little bit more and your dumplings have soaked in the juice. So that is my recommendation, is not to eat it right away. Okay, I think I told y'all the half stick of butter. And you can leave the butter out if you want to, if you're trying to, you know, reduce some of the fat. But when you make chicken and dumplings, to me, the weight loss is out the window. So, and you can buy frozen dumplings. My daughter buys some frozen dumplings at H-E-B's. And they're hard to find because they're not like, you would think you'd find them where you'd find the yeast rolls and stuff in the frozen department. Well, they're not. So I'm not sure, I don't remember where it is, but they come frozen and they're already in long dumpling strips. And to her, she says, Mom, they're just as good as your homemade dumplings. Well, I've done them. And I have to disagree. I don't think they're as good as mine. But I prefer the homemade. And to me, it doesn't take much longer than what I did with this. Now you can pinch those biscuits and put in here. But to me, it makes it to me it tastes like a biscuit then. If you drop little balls of biscuit in there, to me it tastes like a biscuit. So when I roll them out like this, to me it tastes like homemade. So that's my thought on dumplings. Now I'm just going to push those right there down a little bit. And I don't want to mess with them too much, but I'm going to make that boil come through in different places. And the flour that's on these biscuits is already kind of thickening this juice a little bit. You can see it's getting a little thicker. So, and I see a dumpling right there that I can still see the flour on it. So I just dipped it down in there a little bit. And now I got to debone my chicken. And then I'll stick that in there. Bam. We got a pot of chicken and dumplings. Okay. And I put this, let's see, no, I put it on afterwards. Now you can boil your chicken all day if you want to. But it, you know, really only a couple hours is all you really need to get your dumplings going. You could even put your chicken in the crock pot and let it cook. But the thing is that you would need to put it in a pot to get it to a rolling boil like this for your dumplings. So they're going really, really good. So can y'all see? Let's see. Can y'all see that? Yum, yum. You can see that butter in there. That's some goodness right there. Okay, so I'm going to debone my chicken. Oops, my phone's dropping down. So I'm going to debone this and put my chicken in there. And I think I'm going to go ahead and turn this off and let it start resting. By the time I get through with the chicken, it'll be close to 30 minutes and I can serve my dad. So, and then my husband and I, we may go on date night. Or we may have chicken and dumplings with them. So, and then we'll freeze some tomorrow, because I'm sure my dad will eat some more tomorrow. And then we'll freeze it and we're good. And then my husband's going to smoke a pork roast tomorrow. Or he's putting it on tonight. He likes to smoke it in the pit for about 15 hours. So we'll have pulled pork for the weekend and we have chicken and dumplings. So my weekend is done for meals, and I like to do something like this on Fridays, or a beef roast and potatoes and carrots so we can eat on it a little bit and, you know, have roast beef sandwiches or whatever on the weekends. And I like to do my house cleaning on Friday nights. I've not done real well with that, but I'm going to do it tonight. So that way when I wake up on Saturday, the house is done. I've got laundry going and we can enjoy our weekend. So I'm usually up till 1 o'clock anyway. So I'm going to work on doing all the household chores, mop the floors, get everything done so we can have a wonderful weekend. I hope this helps you and that you'll make you some chicken and dumplings and get your house clean on Friday nights and plan your meals so that you don't have to cook all weekend. Good stuff. Give me a thumbs up if you like this. Bye-bye. Oh, Lord. Where's the stop?